Hi, Sharon here with Down Home Wicks, and today we're going to make a geode candle. I'm going to show you step by step. It's a little long, so if you need to turn the video off and on and follow me through. You can use your imagination and you can create these. I'm going to show you the concept. You can make them any color you want. You can make them with as much detail as you want, but I'm going to show you how to make them. So I hope you enjoy the video, so stay tuned. Okay, we're in my craft room and we're going to go through what you need to make a geode candle. It's very similar to making any other candle, but you need some special equipment. So I'm going to walk you through. Now I have a couple of cameras set up and I apologize if it's not the best. I'm a candle maker, not a cameraman, so bear with me. I do have a couple of cameras set up, like I said, so you can see what I'm doing both sides. If you see behind me, I have my melting pot. I'm in my craft room, so there's a lot going on. So let me switch over here. I want to show you, to make the geode candles, you need, I make them in a stainless steel bowl. This is an 18 gauge, 9-inch round. It's probably about 4 inches deep, stainless steel bowl. This is going to be my mold. We're going to put the wick in last. So just like any other candle, you need some type of mold to put it in. This is what we're going to make them in. This is going to be our mold. You're going to need the wax. You're going to need the wick. For this one, I'm not going to fragrance it. If you've made candles before, we're going to use paraffin wax. You have to make a decision in the beginning if you're going to make it more shallow in the bowl, more like a bowl shape, so that your druzy, which is the middle of it, if it's going to be more hollow or if it's going to be a fuller candle. And I say that because it's going to determine what you need, and I have everything out for you. This is from Geode Candle. This is their pillar blend. I'm going to show you the IGI 4625 regular paraffin wax. This is inexpensive. I like to use that, and I'll leave links to these in the description so you know exactly what I'm using. But the other thing is a little heavy. I might have to cut away too so I can cut all this stuff up. I just bought it. This is from Lone Star. Now I don't know where else to get some of this stuff. So like I said, this is Lone Star Candle Supply. They're in Texas. This is the IGI 1260 Hurricane embed wax. And the reason I'm mentioning this is if you make a candle, a hurricane candle, which is what you're doing when you're making, if you want to make your druzy like real shallow, and the hollow part of this is kind of shallow, you need a stronger wax. What this is paraffin wax with additives in it, and it's a little stronger than regular paraffin wax. You don't want your candle to collapse in on itself. So that's why I'm suggesting this. I like to make my candles a little more full, because when I burn a candle, I like to burn a candle. So that's why I'm suggesting this. If you don't want yours, if you want yours to be real full of crystals, I suggest that you use this wax. I'll have to look it up. I don't know if it really costs that much more. It's just that it's a harder wax. Now, the other wax that you can use, and I like to use it as well, is gel wax. And that's because it makes the crystals a little more translucent, a little more realistic looking, and you can mix the gel wax with the paraffin wax, and they work really well together because both waxes are a paraffin base, and they blend together really well. Now this I also got from Geode Candle Supply, so it helps. I got these off of eBay too. They have an eBay site, and it helps when you buy things from the same supplier. It helps with shipping so that you can combine your shipping so that you're not spending a fortune in different places with shipping. They're all distributors. There's only one place, this Penrico or whatever it's called, is the only place that I know of that actually manufactures gel wax. You can make your own, but it's a pain. There's only one place that I know of that actually makes this, so you're just getting it from a distributor. You might as well get it from the same place you're getting your wax from if they sell it. save on shipping. Now to make the druzy, you need to melt this to mix it with the paraffin or by itself. So you're going to need some candle dye, and I have my liquid candle dye. I don't want to get any on me at this point. Usually I make a mess, but I have liquid candle dye, so you're going to need some liquid candle dye. And then you need to choose what you want to put it on. Now you can take, you want your druzy to be shiny because the crystals are shiny. You can take a piece of heavy aluminum foil. It's shiny. It's probably, the camera probably doesn't roll like it all that much. You can crinkle it up and then flatten it back out and put some edges on it so that your wax doesn't go everywhere. This creates like a crystal look, and when paraffin wax is warm, it's flexible so that you can either cut this up with scissors or a knife or whatever, and you can put that down in there to make your crystals. Or this is just a diamond shaped silicone mold. You can put a little down in there. You don't need to fill these all the way up because you're not making diamonds. You could if you wanted to. If you wanted to make like a fantasy geode, you could do that. You could make your points with this. This is a little more tricky because you got to pop it out, but they do come out really nice. Gel wax does hold its shape, so does paraffin. You can also put, this is just a regular ice cube tray that you get at the drugstore or at the grocery store. You can add your dye to the gel wax, put it in here. Gel wax sets up really fast, so it doesn't take that long. And then you can just cut it up with scissors or a knife. You have to cut it, you can't tear it. You want nice sharp edges. You could also mix it with the paraffin and cut your crystals to the shape of a crystal to get that for the inside of your druzy. The other thing that you're going to need is some wicks. Now, because this is a 9-inch bowl, I'm going to double wick this. Now, there is a wick shortage at the time that I'm making this, so what I have is HTP 83s. I'm going to double wick it because with a 9-inch bowl, it's going to take 2 wicks. Now, with a pillar candle, which is what you're making, you want the edge of this to form like its own bowl so that your wax doesn't go everywhere. So you don't want really an aggressive wick. And I'm going to show you how to do that because I put the wicks in last, and I have an extremely long, when I custom make my pillars, when they're, I call them fantasy shapes because I don't necessarily use pillar molds. These are really long. I have my mat here. Let's see. This is an 8-inch long drill bit that I drill through my pillar candles that are fantasy shapes, and then I insert the wick last. So I'm going to set that aside so I don't lose it. So you do need wicks at the appropriate side. You need something to stir with. Of course, you need a thermometer because when you're making candles, everything's based on temperature. So you've got your wax. You need, I don't know, you need something to heat it up with. I have a pan here with water. We're going to measure everything out. If you want to put fragrance in it, you need to, paraffin is usually about 5 or 6%. So you need a scale. I've got some, I'm sure you can see me. I got some oven mitts. Then you need something to put your wax in. I have multiple things because when we're doing our geode candle, you want to do multiple colors. Now the nice thing about the paraffin is it has a translucent look to it, which if you look at a geode, it has a translucent look to it. So that's why we're using paraffin. But I have multiple containers because I also have black, I have blue. I know I'm switching cameras, sorry. I have blue, I have black. You can do different intensities of the colors, but I have multiple ones. And when I do my first pour, I have another bowl here. Now you can make smaller ones of these too. If you wanted to make smaller druzies and make candles for intentions, you could make your own geodes that go on top of your candles, and then you don't have to buy them. They're just part of the candle. You can make them any shape you want. You don't have to fill the bowl. You could make it all the way to the top, whatever you want to do. But I need a place to put my extra wax when I do my first pour, and I'll show you why. But I have extra containers. Now to finish off my candle, it'll be at the very end and I'll show you what I do, but I also have, and you're going to think it's really strange, but when you make pillar candles, you need to finish the candle. So I have a craft iron, and I'll show you what to do with it later. This might be the strangest thing that you'll ever see, and you'll see that it's ruined. It's not really ruined. I use it for crafts. I wouldn't iron my clothes with this. I have an iron for my clothes, but I use this to finish my candles because you can use this. If you don't have one, you can use your heat gun. It doesn't matter. But when I'm all done, it's going to look kind of messy, but I'm going to iron it smooth, and you're going to have this really nice looking candle. And that's pretty much all you need. Hopefully I covered everything for what you need. So feel free to stop the video whenever you want. And we're going to make some candles. So I'm going to switch the camera and I'm going to start chopping up my wax and get it going. And then I'll be back. Okay, we're back. I chopped up my wax and I put 2.5 pounds in my melting pot. Now I'm going to, good, it shut off. It was a little loud. I was afraid it was going to run too long. Now I'm going to take, I have another bowl. Like I said, I need, you need multiple stirring pots or something to put it in. I have multiple stirring pots, but I want to put it in another bowl. I'm going to take it out. And if you want to put fragrance in it, now is the time to do it. It's at 180 degrees. 185, I believe. I'm going to check it real quick. Yeah, 185, which is typically the temperature that you're going to pour paraffin wax. Now, if you want a more rustic look, which is what we're going for, because a geode is a rock, you're going to pour at a cooler temperature. Keep in mind now, it's still hot. So when you're working with this, this is going to get hot. We don't want to grab this. That's why you need the pot holders. So I kind of want you to, I'm going to set this aside here. What I'm going to do, my first pour is going to be the black color. And that's the other reason why I want to put it into another container, because I want to keep using this and then putting it in here, because I'm going to use probably 5, well, maybe not all 5 pounds, but I don't want to put the black dye inside here, because then everything's going to be black. Once you put the black dye in, you're kind of done. But the outside of my geode's going to be black, and then I'm going to create layers. And what I'm going to show you is the concept of the geode candle. Now you can do this any way you want. You can create layers any way you want. You can be creative. You can do whatever you want. And keep in mind that geodes are created naturally, so you really can't do this wrong. I'm just showing you the concept and what I do, because they're all different. I mean, what you're creating is a rock. The only thing that you could probably do maybe wrong, and it's probably still not really wrong, is your color theme. So when you look at a geode, look it up on Google. They're either in the families of blues or blacks or reds or tans and browns. You really won't see in nature a combination of, say, greens and ambers or browns or something. They usually stay within that family, and that's why I only have 2 colors. And you'll actually find geodes that the outer rock is tan looking or a brown looking. It doesn't necessarily have to be black. So you can make these any color you want. A lot of your purples and blues, they're blacks, and a lot of your greens, ambers, reds, they are tan on the outside. So we're going to start with a black. I'm going to show you the concept. I'm going to work through this, and if you've made candles, you're going to understand too that I'm going to cut away, because there's, you know, it's kind of like watching wax cool off. To pour this at a rustic temperature, sorry, whew, that really got blurry. There we go, sorry. We want to pour around 160 degrees. Now the other thing too I didn't mention before is that when I'm handling the bowl, if you do a lot of these, get yourself some, these are like UV gloves or grill gloves or whatever. These are really nice when you're handling the bowl, and I'm going to show you why. You can definitely use oven mitts. I have. They work just fine. It's just easier if you actually have a glove. These have like little silicone grips on it so to handle it. My other suggestion too is if you're new to this or if you're cautious, I put a towel down so that you don't drop the bowl. There's nothing worse, safety first, nothing worse than a lap full of hot molten wax. So this is definitely not something for kids. Definitely you might want to stand up and do this so that if you do drop it, it's not in your lap. So use caution. It is hot. And I got my gloves on because I am coloring this. Candle dye, it's hard to get out of anything. Really, you should have an apron on or something. Keep that in mind. So I have 2.5 pounds. That's probably the all the black that I will need for this candle if I want to lighten it up. You could always add more wax to it. Just keep in mind that once you have a black color, it's hard to lighten it up. Black is usually black for good, but I'm gonna make lines in it, and I'll show you as I go along. I might have to speed it up because these candles, and one of the reasons they do cost so much is because they are time consuming. So you need to practice, take your time, have some patience, and experiment with it because they are very fun candles. And if you're looking for a unique candle to make it at a craft show, this is a very fun candle, and they do sell very well. These are difficult to keep in stock. People love them because they are so unique. So we're going to get started. Now I'm going to take my candle. Like I said, I've got 2.5 pounds of the wax. Hopefully it fits in this. Now I didn't heat up this bowl or anything, and you'll see that's all this bowl holds. It's 2.5 pounds. Sorry. So that's the other reason too. You'll learn that what your material holds or what your equipment holds is 2.5 pounds. So that's the other determining factor. So I'm going to color this, and it doesn't, that's 5 drops. I like the liquid dye as opposed to the chips. We're just going to stir. Now see how black this is? And that's why I said it's black. Now keep in mind, it has a translucent color. Even though it's, it has a white tint to it, paraffin wax colors really well. And that's because it's a white base, but it has, there's no, you're not competing with that white that you have with soy. So if you're looking for true colors, paraffin does have the true colors. This is all the black that I'm going to need for this candle. The other thing that I chose, this is another stainless steel bowl. The other reason too is if need be, I can put this down. When I'm making more candles, I happen to start out clean with this one. I can put this down in my water bath and remelt it. So that's the other thing to take into consideration too. You might want to have a pot dedicated for your colors. It may seem like a lot, but if you're making quite a few of these, you might want to take that into consideration. Also, if you want to fragrance this, now is the time to do this. If you want to see what color black this actually is, we can put this on a piece of white paper. Printer paper. Don't mind me. Can you see that? See what I mean about it's not as black as what you think, but it's going to be, it looks a lot blacker than what it is, but that was 5 drops. That's our base color. We're going to pour this into our mold, which is what we're calling our stainless steel bowl, when it reaches 160 degrees. So I think that's stirred pretty well. And that's going to be the outer edge, and I'm going to show you how to finish this off as a rock to get a more finished look. We're going to keep an eye on it. It's getting there. It doesn't take long to cool this off. 162. I'm going to put my UGG gloves on. And like I said, this does stain. This candle dye stains like everything. And it does look rustic when you pour at colder temperatures. But what we're going to do is we're going to form a rock. And I'm going to stand up to do this. Like I said, I really don't want this in my lap. And it's hot. And I got a cloth because I know it's going to drip. I'm going to set this off to the side here. That's our 2.5 pounds. Now we want a full bowl, and we're going to let this cool. Like I said, we're not going to sit here and watch. We'll have to come back. But the reason that I'm using pot holders is as this cools, we're going to keep tipping this bowl. See how it's creeping up the edge? You could probably go, this bowl, I could probably go 3 pounds. It's not quite hot enough. 3 pounds would probably fill it. You want it completely full. What you can also do too is take a knife, just like you would a hurricane without an actual hurricane mold, and you would cut it out and then take the top of it off, and then you pour the wax out. So paraffin wax is kind of like working with chocolate. You would take what's still hot in the middle and pour it back out. So what I'm making is the shell to the rock, and you're going to start with the inside. Now I want this to look rustic. I want it to look like a rock. So I'm going to do the opposite of what everybody tells you to do when you're candle making, and I'm going to keep moving this candle around until the edges are folded and rippled and disturbed and everything that a candle maker tells you not to do. That's what I'm going to do to this wax. I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to let this cool down a little bit because it is going to take a while, because this wax will not form up until it's probably closer to 100 degrees. And then I'll be back to show you. There's no point in sitting here watching it cool off. That would be kind of boring, so I'll be back. Okay, we're back. We're almost at the temperature with our bowl, but what we're going to do in the meantime, besides scorching my pan, we're going to heat up the gel wax. Now gel has to heat directly on your heat source, so please be careful. It is can be very dangerous. It's worse than spilling hot cheese on yourself. I'm going to pour some in here in my diamond mold that's clear, because I want some that's clear, and then I'm going to color it with some of the blue chips to see how it looks. But I'm going to do a little bit of everything here so that we can see how it turns out. But I do have it at it is melted. As you can see, it's liquid. Trying not to get too many bubbles in here. It's pretty hot. Try not to scorch it. It solidifies really fast. So I just kind of, oops. Yeah, and the nice thing about this, let me get some little ones here, and I'm going to drizzle, is it does peel out, and you can reuse it, put it back in the thing. I don't know, it should hold it in here. No. It will solidify pretty fast, so keep that in mind. I'm going to put some blue in here because I do want some blue color. That's the only disadvantage to using gel. You gotta kind of work fast. Got some blue going on. And I hear the dog going crazy. Woo! Well, I tell you, I cannot. And it's hot. So please be careful. This is going to give us texture. So that's what I'm doing with this. And you'll see, because you can take and shape it with scissors or a knife or anything. We're going to fill these up. Gel wax doesn't smell the greatest either. And a cleanup on this, never put it down your drain, ever. Gel wax will not come out, but it peels out when it's cooled off completely. So a cleanup is actually easy. And don't worry, we're just using this for color. We're going to set this aside. I told you I was messy. We're going to set this aside so it gets all stringy. It's like rubber cement. That's what it reminds me of. We're going to use this for texture for the inside for our druzy. It does have, see how shiny it is? I mean, it does have that quality to it. So we're going to take, I did put this on a sheet pan. We're going to get this out of the way. I got stuff everywhere. Because this is going to cool. It won't take that long. We'll play with that later. But I'll put my gloves on. I want to show you what the bowl looks like. Our rock. This has started to cool. Right here. It is about 120 degrees. 121. And it doesn't look like much now, but if you can, I don't know if you can see. It's still hot. That's why I got gloves on. Where's my knife? When you're making a hurricane, you're going to cut into here. Now, as I puncture in here, I can feel that this is all molten in here. So what we're going to do, like I said, we're going to do everything that the candle maker tells you to not do. And this is going to be the outer core of our rock. Because if you were making this like as a pillar, see how it's all liquid in there? You would want this to set up. We're going to get our bowl. Remember I said we needed a bowl, someplace to put this? This can be remelted later on. This is everything a candle maker tells you not to do. Don't mess with it. Let it sit. Yada yada. So now we have the inside. Now if you were making a hurricane, this is the beginning of a hurricane candle. So you're going to take like a chocolate maker would. And you are going to, like I said, don't worry about this. It's going to creep up the side. It's going to get messy. Can you see what I'm doing? I want the bottom to be a little more substantial. So look at that. That's probably a pound of wax. Easy. We had 2.5 pounds This is what we poured out. Now we've just created the shell to our rock. Move this bowl. So now we've got extra black. Now we're going to let this sit. And we're going to take and we're going to roll it up the edges. And this is going to look like you cut a rock in half. And if you want this to not look so perfect, I want the bottom to kind of be a little more full. What we're going to do is this sets up because now we've taken all that heat out of there. We're going to let this kind of sit, and what we're going to do is if we want lumps, if we want lumps, we're going to tilt it. We're going to let it sit here for a little while. And then we're going to let it sit here for a little while. And then we're going to let it sit here for a little while. And it's going to form lumps. And don't worry about it being messy because we're going to keep doing that. And remember, I said at the very end, we're going to take an iron and we're going to iron this flat so that it looks like a rock that's been sawed in half and polished. So don't worry about the edges. What you're going to do is you're just going to worry about this looking like a rock. You can trim it. You can carve it. You can do whatever you want. So what we're forming right now is the outside shell. So look. See how it's starting to get all weird? And let's see if I can get this on camera. I don't know if you can see it. See how it's getting all bumpy and lumpy and stuff like that? That's what you want. Because we're going to create an outer shell. Whoops. That's why I have gloves on, because this wax is still hot. It's 120 degrees. Keep that in mind. I've got gloves on. And if you drop this, that's why I got the towel too, so that it doesn't slide away from me. Now if you want, you can take this and kind of carve away at this, because it's still, paraffin is really nice. It's still real soft. Paraffin is really nice to carve when it's soft. You can make it whatever you want. So you can see what you're doing. Like I said, I'm showing you the concept. We're not going to worry too much. You've got your scrap bowl. We're not going to worry too much about being perfect because it's a rock. We don't want our edges to look like we've drug a knife. I'm trying to get in the camera here. I can't see everything that I'm doing. That imperfection is what you're looking for. Like I said, we're going to finish this off. If you need to persuade it a little bit, you can take a paintbrush, sliding out of my chair. You can take a paintbrush, you can, because it's flexible. Can you see what I'm doing? See, it's flexible. I wouldn't use your finger, it's hot, unless you're daring. But you can move it around, bring it to the edge, because even if your edge is really bad, I mean, we can certainly smooth that out. Your edge is the thing we're going to do the last. But I want the base of this, I want this to set up, because what we're going to do, like I said, now we've got our outside of our rock. We're going to let this sit so that it's had time to completely cool off. because we want to do our next layer. Now it's not going to sit for 24 hours or anything like that, because we need it to sit for maybe hot a couple hours maybe. We're not going to, like when you dip paraffin candles or anything like that, you're not going to dip it in water or anything like that. You don't want this layer to blend with the next one. So the next layer, we're going to do another bowl. In this bowl, we're going to do a layer of just regular clear paraffin to give it a ring. And we're going to create rings, and we're going to keep doing this with rings. And then when we get to the very middle, we're going to put our druzy in the middle of it. So stick with me. Like I said, have some patience. Keep working with this, and I'll show you every step. It doesn't look like much now, but imagine this as the shell of your rock. We're going to keep going. I'm going to let this set up enough to where the two layers won't blend together, and then I'm going to do a layer of white. But I want it to be the paraffin, because if you look at a geode, put it this way, if you look at a geode, it has that translucent look. It's not really, if you use soy wax, it's not really a solid color. Not too many geodes are a solid color. They're really that kind of translucent look. So paraffin gives it that really translucent look. So let's move on to the next color. Let's let this sit, and then I'll be back. Okay, I'm back at it. Like I said, this is a lengthy process. This is one of the reasons why these candles do cost so much. It's a lengthy process, but they're really not hard. It just takes a lot of patience. So I have my more paraffin wax. This is still hot. It's not completely cooled yet. I moved my camera around a little bit so you could see. I have some paraffin here at 160 degrees. I'm going to start working on my second layer. Now you want your layers to be a contrast so that you can see a definition between the layers. And what I'm going to do, because like I said, it's a lengthy process, there's no point in sitting here watching me. I'm going to film it, and then I'll speed it up so that you can see what I'm doing. But I'm going to pour this in here, and you're going to see that it's going to cool as it goes around. Now, because the outside is a lot cooler, I can handle it without the gloves. Just don't get any on you. It's still hot. 160 degrees is still hot. But this bigger pitcher is going to be my white, and I need a definite ring, so I need to fill this up. That's why I've got so much of the white. And like I said, it's a rock, so don't worry. My desk is not level. Don't worry if it's not perfect. We're going to let this sit because it's still kind of hot. I really don't want it to loosen it up too much. In the pot, I've got a little one going here. I'm going to use for blue, because that's what I use for the crystals. I kind of want it to tie together, but because I use gel, it's going to be a little bit different. And then I can do different colors blue. I can do like a lighter blue or a darker blue or something like that. So I'm going to mix it up a little bit. So I'm going to speed up the process so you'll be able to see. I won't be talking through this. I'll just speed it up for you. Otherwise, we'll be here. These candles usually take a better part of the day to make. Because I'm showing you, it takes a little bit longer. If you make enough of these, you can get quite a few of these bowls going. If you really wanted to make them at a craft show or something like that, you could actually make some molds for yourselves. There's more than one way to make these. If you do some experimenting, you can also do these. You can do them in sheets, you can roll them, you can sculpt them, you can do all kinds of ways. This is how I've always made them. That's why I'm showing you this way. I'm sure there's all kinds. Later on, I'll show you how to do the square ones. They seem to be pretty popular too. But for now, I'm going to show you how to do these. They look just like a rock, and I hope you enjoy it, but I'm going to speed it up, show you the process, and I hope you enjoy it, and then I'll come back.